Gunfights, Outlaws, and Gunslingers. The Wild West forged its legacy into American history. The audacious stories of cowboys and lawmen became eternal myths, yet their deaths were frequently as jarring as their lives. Some met their demise in manners more bizarre than fiction, while others merely succumbed to time alone. Today, we reveal how these mythic figures from the Wild West truly met their end. Mary Catherine Hironi, widely known as Big Nose Kate, was no common woman of the Wild West. Bright, brave, and intensely self-reliant, she carved her niche among men in an unruly frontier. Fluent in multiple languages and fearless of peril, Kate was employed as a nurse, gambler, and saloon owner, existing on her own conditions. Her ferocious temperament attracted her to Doc Holliday, becoming his mistress, companion, and periodic opponent. Through shootouts, getaways, and the upheaval of Tombstone, she supported him, often aiding his flight from justice. After Holliday's passing, Kate lived a calm, itinerant life throughout the Southwest, enduring the very disorder that devoured others. She died in 1940 at the age of 90, bequeathing the tale of a woman as wild as the West itself. Annie Oakley, the lady whose shot could cleave a playing card in two in midair, was not born into renown. She achieved it one bullet at a time. Long before the globe heard her name, she was Annie Mosey, a 16-year-old female with exceptional shooting skill. One fortuitous day visiting her sister, fate intersected her path. The town's innkeeper organized a trap shooting match between Annie and an assured professional sharpshooter named Frank Butler. The test hit the maximum number of birds from 25. Frank struck a notable 24, but Annie, with silent concentration and perfect accuracy, knocked down each and every one. Frank was astonished, then enchanted. What started as a contest of talent transformed into a tale of affection. The pair shortly wed and spent almost 50 years together, touring nationwide with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. Annie motivated innumerable young women, demonstrating skill and bravery could radiate as vividly as any gunfighter's fame. In her older age, sickness seized her vigor, and she succumbed to anemia. Merely 18 days later, Frank joined her, as if his heart could not endure the quiet left by her departure. The twosome now lies together in the Oakley family plot, forever side by side. Hold your horses. Now let's saddle up and return to the story. John Henry Doc Holliday was not born a criminal. He began as a Southern gentleman and dentist. After developing tuberculosis, he relocated west, pursuing a writer climate. But what he discovered was mayhem, card games, and gunpowder. Clever and lethally precise, Holliday earned notoriety as a gambler and gunfighter, often beside Wyatt Earp. His courage and accuracy established his legend during the shootout at the OK Corral in Tombstone, where his status as both champion and threat was sealed. But behind the keen smile and keener shot was a man gradually fading. The illness that sent him west ultimately took him. In 1887, at only 36, Doc Holliday perished peacefully in a Colorado rooming house, distant from the dusty roads that made him legendary. Jesse James, the infamous bandit and accomplished robber, had become a legend and a liability for the state of Missouri. His bold heists and expanding renown soon attracted the notice of Governor Thomas Crittenden, who took it as his personal duty to eliminate Jesse. After a botched bank robbery left his gang in disarray, Jesse and his brother Frank vanished into secrecy. But while Frank started to desire a straight life and separated from the turmoil, Jesse declined to abandon his criminal habits. He began bringing in new recruits, men with dubious loyalty. Among them was Bob Ford, whose brother Charlie had lately entered the gang. When news circulated that the governor provided a $10,000 prize for Jesse's arrest, Bob spotted his opportunity. The Ford brothers made a clandestine agreement with Crittenden, pledging Jesse's demise in return for cash and a pardon. Months later, while lodging with the Fords, Jesse removed his coat and set aside his weapons to clean a picture on the wall. In that calm instant, Bob Ford lifted his revolver and shot Jesse in the back of the skull, murdering the most sought man in America on the spot. Belle Starr was more an associate to criminals than a criminal herself. Convicted once for stealing horses and imprisoned 9 months, she encountered no further legal judgments. Yet she opted to reside among thieves and questionable individuals. She wed twice. Both spouses later perished in brutal shootouts, and her prolonged connection with risky men finally overtook her. While traveling home on a desolate path one day, Belle was surprised and hit by 2 rounds in the spine. No one ever discovered the killer, and her demise became shrouded in speculation and gossip. Some reports even propose her son Ed might have been involved, but the real facts stay hidden in the mists of Wild West mythology to this day. Billy the Kid, that's what they named him. Just a youth, scarcely 18, with 17 murders already on his record. In his brief, heedless existence, he became one of the most dreaded and renowned gunmen in the West. But every criminal faces his judgment. After years of avoiding arrest, Sheriff Pat Garrett finally apprehended Billy and took him to court. Declared guilty, the young offender was ordered to hang. Yet, days prior to his execution in 1881, Billy executed a brave breakout, killing 2 deputies and disappearing into the desert darkness. Garrett would not quit. For 3 unwavering months, he tracked the runaway until a tip directed him to the Maxwell Ranch in New Mexico. Late one evening, as Billy entered a poorly lit chamber, Garrett discharged 1 round that concluded the kid's fabled career. But as with many Wild West tales, uncertainty remained. Some thought it wasn't Billy at all, that he escaped to live under a different identity. Years after, 2 men professed to be the actual Billy the Kid, yet none could ever demonstrate the myth incorrect or correct. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid might evoke the appeal of Paul Newman and Robert Redford, but the real individuals behind the story lived existences just as bold and theatrical. Renowned for their accuracy and preparation, they headed the notorious Wild Bunch, executing train and bank robberies that gained them roughly $35,000 per job, a king's ransom in their time. Their talent for disappearing into the backcountry rendered them almost uncatchable. Yet, after years of fleeing, Butch and Sundance resolved to abandon their criminal pasts and find a new beginning in South America. For a time, they stayed inconspicuous until rumors circulated of a payroll theft in Bolivia. Surrounded by the Bolivian cavalry, the 2 declined to give up, trading intense fire through the darkness. When quiet at last descended, 2 corpses were discovered, Sundance with a bullet in his forehead, and Cassidy, it appeared, by his own gun. Still, murmurs endured for years that Butch had lived, reappearing under different identities, creating one of the Wild West's most enduring enigmas. Calamity Jane's very moniker suggested the turbulent life she led. To endure, she frequently posed as a man, taking demanding employment, even rumored to have worked for the Pony Express and possibly undertaken other methods of income in the harsh frontier society. Later, she enlisted in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where her sharp shooting and dauntless equestrian skills made her an audience darling. But celebrity arrived alongside disorder. Jane was recognized not only for her toughness in shooting, but also for her heavy drinking and untamed nature. In time, her affection for alcohol overwhelmed her, pulling her into periods of serious habituation. By the age of 51, her body ultimately surrendered. As the story goes, she was buried next to her former comrade and one-time drinking ally, Wild Bill Hickok, although many stated Hickok had minimal affection for her in life. In the end, her interment beside him appeared as one final quip from destiny, a melancholy conclusion for the woman who lived, battled, and drank herself into Wild West history. Buffalo Bill Cody ascended to fame in the later 1800s, enthralling spectators globally with his fabled touring production, Buffalo Bill's Wild West. It was an extravaganza that animated the frontier, cowboys, sharpshooters, and Native American actors all displaying the tough essence of the American West. But even icons faced their last horizon. On January 10, 1917, while seeing his sister in Denver, Cody died from kidney failure. His passing signified the close of a period, yet what ensued became one of the most contested accounts of the Wild West. In his last testament, Cody desired to be interred on Lookout Mountain in Colorado, a site providing vast, majestic vistas. But the elements had different intentions. The mountain paths were covered in snow, rendering it unfeasible to attain the peak that January. To respect his desire, his body was maintained in cold storage for 6 full months, embalmed on 6 occasions. Meanwhile, heated disputes erupted. Some argued he should lie in Cody, Wyoming, the very town he established and once selected in a previous will. In time, the public accepted that Lookout Mountain became his genuine burial site. Yet rumors continue that his remains were covertly transferred to Wyoming during the night. Including a creepy detail, the old Ollinger mortuary, where Cody's body resided for 6 months, has now been converted into an eatery called Linger, an appropriate title for a legend whose narrative declines to die. Bat Masterson started his career under the scorching sun of the frontier, surviving by the pistol and the code of the land. A skilled gunman with a sure hand and a standing to equal, his life changed when he encountered Wyatt Earp. Earp detected something in Bat, the composed exactness of a man who could impose structure on the bedlam of Dodge City, Kansas. With his brothers already working as lawmen nearby, Masterson answered the summons. As sheriff, his career was comprised of both victory and sorrow. He gained esteem as a just yet intrepid officer. Yet the violent death of his brother Ed, shot dead in front of him, imprinted a mark he would hold indefinitely. By 49, Bat had become tired of the violence and dirt that characterized the West. Seeking serenity, he journeyed east with his spouse to New York City, exchanging revolvers for a pen and notepad. There, he constructed a calmer life as a sports journalist and U.S. Marshal. On a fresh morning in 1921, while seated at his desk in mid-thought, Bat Masterson's heart failed. His last article left incomplete. That's it. If you liked the journey, press that like and subscribe button for additional tales like this. Thanks for watching.